All right. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning, and thanks for having me here. It's a lovely day in New York City.
And it is a lovely day starting here in Los Angeles. So we are coast to coast. And Heather told me I had to interview you, so I really had no choice. But I'm happy to, and it wasn't because Heather told me, obviously. Hey, there's so much to talk about. Obviously, there's a lot going on. Would be an understatement of the universe. But welcome you first, and if you could just start by briefly introducing us and a tiny bit about yourself, that would be special.
Sure. So my name is Dr. Alex Kahana, and I have what would be called a nonlinear career. After a long military service, I had a full academic career in pain medicine. I built multiple pain centers throughout the world, and it's safe to say that I'm familiar with the healthcare industry. I have been interested in technology and the integration of technology into the clinical workflow for at least 15 years. Very much concentrated on blockchain for the last, I would say, 5 years. And currently I serve as Chief Medical Officer at Consensus Health, also responsible by the virtues of the languages I speak on the European, Middle Eastern, and African markets. And for your listeners, Consensus Health is the largest blockchain and healthcare company in the world. I would say it's the Con Edison, if you wish, of healthcare and blockchain technology. And I'm on a mission to blockchainize healthcare and healthify the crypto space.
Wow, I don't think, you're like Robin Williams or Jay Leno. Jay Leno used to say, all I have to do with Robin is say, hey, Robin, and I'm good. He does the rest of the interview. I love it. Let's see, vous parlez français aussi?
Oui, un peu, je parle un peu français.
¿Hablas español también o no?
No, not that. I understand Spanish, but...
Okay, yo también un poquito. I always did this wrong, considering I'm Jewish. Is it at mitaber or at mitaber at
أنا مدبر عبريت وأنا بتحكي العربية, and what my fluent Mandarin daughter told me to say is "Duebuchi the Jungwen Buhao." So I'm sorry, but my Chinese is bad. So, but
well, it sounded great to me because I don't speak Mandarin or anything. But I've been there and I've tried to learn some of the languages when I took training and everything. But it's a whole different graphic, that's for sure. No, that's fantastic. Everybody always talks about now, especially thanks to Simon sending their why, and some of them recently have told me they start with their what now and then go to their why. But I'd like to know why you do what you do.
Well, I love that question because it really, the why always explains. Many times, when we ask someone why, they start to describe, and a description is not the why. The why is the aboutness of what we are. And my career, as I said, started in the military. And the reason I say that is in the military, not only are you data-driven or mission-driven and data-driven and situation aware, but you also realize that none of us is as good as all of us. And so this idea of distributed trust, this idea of collaboration is really embedded in me. And I've seen in the battlefield, unfortunately, a lot of pain from many sides. And I've seen what pain does, how it strips people from their dignity. And so if you wish, via the empowerment of technology, via the empowerment of my medical knowledge, my financial knowledge, I try to restore the dignity of individuals that are stripped on a daily basis, be it by health or by wealth, or just being in a place that they don't want to be in this very challenging world.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you're saying, especially in this era. But dignity and every life, if you will, has a value. I would say, seeing your experience education-wise and work-wise from Israel to Europe to the U.S., etc., deeply engaged in all areas of healthcare and seeing it on the battlefields, if you will. it sounds like that's what really, I'm going to answer your question, and I'd like to, get further on it. It sounds like what, in a way, what really differentiates you as one of the leaders who care is you want to bring that dignity back to each and every individual.
Yes, there has to be a purpose. There has to be an aboutness of what we do. The life story is a story. These are chapters that each chapter lends to the next one. And you have to almost have a mental image of understanding, why am I going through this now? What is this experience going to teach me what to do and what not to do? And we live in very interesting times, especially since the internet democratized knowledge and changed the whole definition of what is an expert and what is a professional. I'm old enough to remember that the smartest person in the room was the one who just remembered everything. And so if you could say that, in 1967, the budget of the postal office in Brazil was 167 million reals, nobody would know it. And then you say, thank God I remember that it's reals and not pesos. But now it's simple, just you Google it. So the definition of expertise has changed, and to the better, because it has shifted to what really makes us unique as human beings, and that is the soft skills that we have, the intelligence, the emotional intelligence that we have, the opportunity to exercise radical empathy. Because at every juncture in what we do, we have a choice, not only to do what things right, which we like to do as students or as professionals, but also do the right thing and make the right choices. So I think that, for a leader who cares, and that's the word, that caring is the responsibility, the ability to respond. To respond to what? To the plight of the other. So when I walk in the street and I see someone fall, I immediately jump to pick them up. I don't think about it. I don't make this utilitarian, oh, this is a good idea, I should help him, or say a consequentialist, no, I shouldn't, because I have to go and save a king in another 2 hours, so I'll leave them, fall. It is a remaining sensitivity to be alert and aware and curious. And that curiosity brings you to be interested in many fields and not just say, I'm interested in this.
Yeah, I appreciate you really saying that. When I do speeches or whatnot, too, a lot of times I talk about influencers, and I bring up quotes about my grandparents, my mom, etc. And I'm sure you'd appreciate this. Most grandparents would say it. They said it with a Kiev accent. They said, "As long as you have your health, that's the most important thing," And but it wasn't just a cute soundbite. They were coming from really deep inside, a lot of background, a lot of experience, a lot of baggage, whatever. By saying that, and we're in a mode right now where, like you said, we have to care about the other person's well-being. What I've also found, I'd love you to comment on this, with everything going on now, speed of technology, COVID, just when we thought we had the biggest problems in the world, you got addressing what is absolutely true, racial injustice and how people treat each other. People want to belong. The most important thing from all studies show that the biggest thing that fills our heart and soul is belonging. And so what you said was brilliant about, I didn't think I got to help because of, or this or that or the other. Can you address that whole belonging, that whole thing about caring, if you will, how it impacts health and how it's going to change everything from how we work together and how we live together?
Yeah, no, I think, first of all, I think we have the same grandparents with the same accent, but you're absolutely right, and this is a very important question to be asked, and unfortunately, I'm not asked enough. And it brings us to, what is health? And if I ask what is health? And this, 99 out of 100 will say, well, health is disease, it's death, it's illness. And I would say that because of that answer, what we have is a disease management system and not a healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
But I would argue, for a second, bear with me, that the opposite of health is not illness or disease, it's isolation. Is that through illness and disease, we feel isolated. And as it progresses, our world contracts and becomes smaller and smaller until one day we wake up And even though we might not be alone, we feel alone and we want to stop it. And so we take a Chardonnay, we take a single malt, we add a little bit of OxyContin and Xanax to it, and we end our life. And this happens 150 times a day. It has been happening in the United States 150 times a day for the last 15 years. And when COVID galore is going to end, then we're going to remind ourselves that it's the opioid, not epidemic, but a syndemic. It's a combination of epidemics, of depression, of anxiety, of post-traumatic stress, of that sense of isolation. And so if you agree that the opposite of health is isolation, then you'll agree with me that the journey back to wellness is through connectedness. And that connectedness could be with your data, with your friends, with your family, with your community, that what you alluded to, that sense of purpose, sense of being, sense of belonging. And so it's very simple. The way I explain it is if you take the I out of illness and you put we, what do you get? And so if we shift our thoughts about what is health, and as a pain doc, every time I would see a paining patient, because pain is not a verb, it's not a noun. I have pain and pain is out there. Pain is me. It's a verb. I am paining right now. Every time I would see a patient who was paining, I knew that they had a family that was paining, an employer, a community, a state, a planet. And what COVID has shown us, this is now nothing different is happening, with the demonstration that we're seeing. We are seeing the extension of COVID into COVID disparity. Mm-hmm. That's what we have. We have a COVID COVID has shown us two things. It has shown us that we are not resilient. And when I say resilient, it means that we do not have capacity. We suddenly don't have toilet paper. We don't have, hand sanitizers. We don't have empathy. We don't have money. But we also, and this is the choice that we need to make. Do we have capacity? Can we bounce back? And how will we bounce back? Will we bounce back better? Understanding that we're interdependent. And that's the second thing that COVID has shown us, that we are interdependent, that this sense of isolation, this idea of individuality, it's ridiculous. That what we do here in New York impacts South Pacific Islands, which I can ignore until one day they won't be there anymore. But also what people do in faraway countries like China or anywhere else will impact us. And so this is a humbling experience where we have to start to do system thinking. And we have to create anti-rivalrous economies that allows coexistence, because none of us is as good as all of us.
Yeah, with the astronauts going up, it's funny, they talk about how in the 60s you had all the issues and yet had the positive of the astronauts going up. And here we are back again. What's interesting about it is that when they look at the Earth, and we have an astronaut that's a founder of our company, he talked about when he looked at the Earth from up above, politics was irrelevant. The Earth was beautiful. There was no walls going all over the place. It was one. And in fact, when he landed, he talked, doing a short story, he said it was a hard land. He said there was a rock, there was dirt, there was grass. And he said, I'm home. And he happened to be in Kazakhstan. But that was home. It was one place. And related to that, we're very involved in well-being. We have a whole well-being initiative that involves a lot of elements. And I'd like your opinion on how business leaders who care have a role right now in ensuring the financial well-being, but also the physical and mental well-being of their talent. And to your point about how it clearly then flows by osmosis or whatever into community. It's not rocket science to see it flows into community. How do you see all that?
Well, I might say something that is surprising to you or to the listeners. I think that this distinction between I would say the physical and the mental is a Cartesian dangler. It comes from Descartes talking about the psyche and the soma. There's the psychology and then there's the body. So there's the real stuff, like taking care of a heart attack or lung cancer or a broken bone. And then there's all these kind of like mental health things, that it's and almost implicitly this moral weakness and this, lack of character and this vulnerability, because, especially me, who I come from, a tough outfit in the military, we show a stiff upper lip. And that's not true. It is, we are all one. Okay. My brain, when they say the right side does this and the left side does it, it's only a façon de parler. It's a way to speak. My brain doesn't do anything. Okay. It's Alex with his brain. And so I don't distinguish between the body and the mental. And we all know these mind-body connections. And we know how positive thinking and moving and sleeping and contemplating and meditating, and if you want, praying, these are all immune boosters. Right. And so when people would ask me with COVID, oh, what should I do? What I would say, two things is boost your immunity by all the things that I mentioned, and don't have people spit in your mouth. That's it. And so I don't distinguish between that, no more than I distinguish between this idea of the work-life balance. Because when you're passionate, when you love what you do,
absolutely,
you woke up early, I woke up early. We're going to talk today to people in 3 different continents. We love what we do. If I stop doing what I'm doing, that's what's going to kill me. So I think that we should kind of shy away from all these distinctions that are not real, that only what they do is imply how fragile we are and how soft we are and how we have to take care of it. No, we have to do, indeed. We have to, I would say, love abundantly each other. We have to live gently. That I agree to. And most importantly, leave graciously things that weren't meant to be. Sometimes we embark in something and it just doesn't, it's not what we're supposed to. So learn from it and move on. And that's why my favorite animal, by the way, is the grasshopper. I don't know if you know, but in the animal kingdom, the grasshopper is the only animal that jumps forward. Okay? They can't jump to the side. They can't jump backward. They only jump forward. And so I think that to ensure your health and your wealth and your sanity are all embodied in one concept of a sense of purpose, a sense of mission. And it's okay, by the way, not to have one. I don't think that uncertainty is a bug that needs to be solved. I think we need to embrace it. And live the present, not think of the past and get depressed, not look at the future and get all anxious, but live the present and live it at its fullest.
Yeah, I was talking to a vet the other day, and we got into the conversation about how dogs can teach us a lot about being present.
That's true.
They give us more love than anything, and it's funny, if I go back to our grandparents, apparently are the same. I used to go on walks as a kid with my grandfather, and the walks were exercise, and he used to smile at every single person. And finally I asked him, I called him Zeta. I said, Zeta, I don't know, how do you know all these people? I was like 7, 8, 9, 10. He said, I don't know most of them, but it's funny, when I smile at them, they smile back at me. And some of them even stop and talk to me, and I feel good, and I see they feel good. Rocket science, right? It's what you're talking about in a way.
Yeah, we know. We know that in biology we call it mirror neurons, and yeah, that's how we work. It's we respond. That is the responsibility that I spoke to, and I think that it's not the flexion, it's the reflection of the other. It's not the cognizance, it's the recognition of the other. We are social animals that live in a social fabric. And COVID, if anything, reminded us that not only does the virus doesn't distinguish between race, class, border, gender, and all this, but we're all in this together. And this is exciting. And I think that what people need to differentiate from is the power of collaboration, the swarm intelligence, the crowd intelligence that we can create. What we're doing now is crowd intelligence, and it'll excite people to go out, versus the idea of centralization, where only a few are going to decide everything for everyone. And that's why I'm so interested in distributed ledger technology, because by its name, the distribution means that it is for everyone, that you create, that everybody's the internet, everybody's the computer, that your data is yours. They're self-sovereign. I don't recall when I gave my genetic material, which I say to someone, do not give it to anyone, and I didn't give it. But when you sell it to someone or give it to someone, they will sell it to a third person. I don't recall getting a check from that sale. So the point is that the idea of community comes from the mentality of abundance. And the reason why we're not abundant is because we still live in the world of the economy of commodities. We say, oh, there's only so much gold and so much oil and so much rare metals and so much stuff. And so I want everything, and I accumulate everything, and I hoard everything for myself. I want all this art for me, and I want all these books for me, and I want all these stuff for me.
Right.
But data is infinite. And so we can start to stop thinking in the mentality of scarcity. And, if you have more, that means I have less. I'm not going to share. And I'm not going to tell you. And I'll be better than you because we're the best, because exceptionalism. No. And when people ask me, I asked once, what does the word unique mean? And unique, they said to me, unique means special. And I said, no, unique doesn't mean special. Unique from unum in Latin means one. Okay. Now, what makes a human human? That they're unique. You're unique. I'm unique. Every listener. So actually, unique is common. It's not special. It's the most common thing. And I think that if we understand that mentality of abundance, that unique is that pluralism, that inclusiveness, that allows us to connect. And that's what dogs understand. No one walks around and says, I am the dog. I'm a dog. I'm unique. I'm a dog in the pack. I know how to walk. And some of them walk fast, and some of them walk behind, and some of them make a lot of noise, and some of them are fun. And it's just fun. That's the biodiversity of being together.
I think everything you're saying is brilliant, including the blockchain. I think that gives people trust of their history, trust of who they are in the community as well, in healthcare. And also, though, I think we've learned by how much we miss the physical contact that now we're not just connected on technology, we're actually connecting on technology and being more authentic with each other. It's funny, but when people are not in their office, I've done a lot of video interviews over the years, and these are the most authentic ones that have come through now because of what we're feeling. And it's not about, I've got a statue outside my house, I got this, or I got the best car. I'm not even using my car. I'm paying payments. I'm not even using my car. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant what you're saying. Last question on this. There's so much to talk about, but in a couple of sentences, pretend I'm a graduate. Didn't have my graduation. I couldn't take my girlfriend to the prom. I'm really ticked off. And I don't know what's happening. And you say uncertainty is not a big deal, which I agree, by the way. We don't have to know 100%. But I come to you and I say, well, geez, what now? What next?
So my advice, there's so much to say, but I would say that the thing that I would pick is be fearless. And that's easy. Young people have an appetite and they are fearless. But I would also say be selfless. Because the more selfish you are, the lower you're lowering your chance to really achieve that goal. That connection of fearlessness and selflessness and humility is a very, very powerful combination. And the reason I'm saying this is because we live in this very special time where I would say that this is the first time in human history that when we do wrong things, it's not because of ignorance, it's because of ineptitude. Because we know, I don't say we know everything, but we know almost everything. The amount of knowledge that we have accumulated on how things work, how things are, to figure out stuff. We know it. It's not like when we bled George Washington to death because we thought that that's how you should, take care of his diarrhea because he had a bad yogurt. Okay, nobody wanted to murder him, but they just bled him again and again, and then the third time he died. Because if you bleed and bleed again, you'll die. Today, when we decide not to do the right thing,
Right.
that is a conscious decision. That is like, okay, there's something out there, and I decide not to do it. So it's not only wrongdoing by commission; it's also by omission. And that's what I would say. Go out and do it. And my sergeant used to say to me, GSD, get stuff done. He didn't use the word stuff, but get stuff done. Just go and do it. If you want to be a PhD in artificial intelligence, you can do it now. You don't need to sign up to any school. You don't need to take. I am an influencer in the healthcare and blockchain space. I consult at the United Nations. I'm what's called a crypto health influencer, although I like to think of myself more as a Sherpa, schlepping everybody's stuff. But the point is, I am self-taught. I was curious. There was a problem. I wanted to solve it, and I applied myself into it. So be fearless, drink, eat, but be selfless and share.
I guess it's full circle back to the thing you said at the beginning. Every person has value. Every person has dignity, and it's available. The opportunity now is maybe greater than ever to be whatever you want to be whatever you want to do. So I guess to play on words, we have some consensus on health here, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, and this is why I love working at Consensus Health, because not only we're decentralized and we're this big family that shares this same vision to enable people to be agents. The problem in healthcare is that we're all healthcare service consumers, and what we want is to transform them to be health and wealth producers. But it's not only that it's not just about computational trust and cybersecurity
Right.
and technology per se. It's understanding that you are your actions, and your actions are captured by data. And so when someone takes that data, uses it, sells it, loses it, abuses it, they take a piece of you. And so the stuff that we are creating, the technologies, the products, the platforms that we are creating are dignity preserving. Because unfortunately, we are living through a history, human history, of people stripping away from other people dignity. And that's the full circle of why I entered. Went to the military, saw the dignity stripped, went into pain medicine, saw the dignity stripped, went into technology, saw the dignity stripped, but we can preserve it now because we understand it. And if we don't do it, it's not because of ignorance, it's because of ineptitude.
Great way to begin. I won't say end. Great way to begin. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.